So I really want to talk about the theory behind creating a satin leaf stitch. So a lot of embroidery artists use this. It's very common. You'll see it in things like this and so forth. However, even pointy leaves fall under this category. So I want to talk to you a little bit about how to do it, because it is a formula at the end of the day. So the number one thing that you're going to start with is a 2/3 stitch that goes about 2/3 the way down. So once you create that, you can go from any direction. You can go from B to A or A to B. It doesn't matter, as long as you create it. Then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working left to right in alternating directions, working our way outwards, widening the petal, while also simultaneously working our way downwards, again in an alternating fishbone-like pattern. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating some V's shapes to surround your base stitch. So if this is your base stitch, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating a line that goes like this, slightly wider, slightly longer, and then reaching outwards and going this way. One really important note is you want to make sure that these stitches in between are not too far away. You want to make sure that they look connected. Otherwise, you're going to have to go in and you're going to have to fill things in further down the road, which is going to create a puffier look. Great if that's what you're going for, but also not great if that's not what you're going for. So then we're going to add a couple more lines, adding some more lines, working our way downwards until we hit the end of the outline. Once we hit the end of the outline, then we're going to have to start working this way. So what we'll do is, if this is where my V ends, right, if those were my previous stitches, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create adjacent lines going wider, and then keep going until you fill in your shape. Now say I'm working on something that looks like this. Well, that's very different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my 2/3 line, and then I'm going to work down in my V-shaped pattern. And then I'm going to pick one side that needs to be filled in. So I'm going to start on the left and I'm going to fill it in. Now it's really important that we're continuing the angle of the previous lines, because we don't want things to look off. We don't want to go like this. That's not quite right. We want to follow the natural pattern of the line. Another thing that I want to mention to you is the two methods. So there's two methods to creating a satin stitch. Now the two methods go like this. You can go like this, all in the same direction, and that's fine. Your back is going to look the exact same as your front. Or there's another method called the thread saver method, and in this method what we're going to be doing is we're going to create our 2/3 line, and then we're going to start from a similar direction and we're going to alternate, going like this. And we're going to be traveling micro distances instead of longer distances to meet our next thread point. And you can see how I'm working my way down. Totally up to you on whatever method you would like to use. I find myself using this method, but I will also use this method if I cannot find the right spot. Like if I'm really struggling, like I'm on this one and I need to create this spot and I just am hitting all of these spots but I'm not hitting the right one, I will just go down from the other method to come up through the other way. And I'll just do it that way, and I find it a lot easier. Now what if I'm working with a pointed leaf? It's the same formula as before. Start with 2/3 down, alternating V's until you can't go any further. You've reached the end of your outline. Pick a side, continue the natural curve of the lines, and just fill in the sides. And it's that easy. Now say you get to the end and you have all of this thread and you don't know what to do with it. One really simple line will completely change the way your embroidery looks. So say I finished here, here's the end of my thread. I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to come up through and I'm just going to make a line that looks like this. And that's it. And this one line will cover up any of the V shapes, and maybe a second line, you can do a second line too, will help cover things up. And if you left a lot of gaps, you can keep working from in between those gaps to add more texture, more dimension, creating a smooth layer on top of the satin leaf stitch. So let's see it done in person on a real life example, and I think it will make a lot more sense.